Once I got the certification, I started applying to Salesforce jobs. I also had gotten a few LinkedIn emails from recruiters, saying, "Hey, would you be interested in this opportunity?" And I, got on the phone and we talked about the opportunity. And so, on top of the jobs I was applying for on LinkedIn, I was also getting all these either requests or requests for a call, and one of them happened to land, which is where I got the job offer from. And that was one where I had applied. Um, and that was kind of where I tried bringing everything I had learned up until that point, from the program and from my study group members, and from my experience at the volunteer organization, um, into that one interview that became a second interview within that same week. So I had gotten invited for an interview, and we had it Tuesday, and they said, "Hey, look, I really need to hire someone by the start of next year, and I kind of like you, so look, can we schedule the next interview?" Which was that Friday, and I was told that I was up against two other people. In terms of candidates. And that following week, I heard back that I was the one selected for that offer, based on all the things I talked about in terms of the volunteer experience, the interview prep, the LinkedIn, all the kind of advice that I had gotten from the program of, how to interview, or, how to present yourself, or even, if you're doing like uh, what to do for a virtual interview. So at the point when I had gotten the job offer was around 37 days since I had started the program, and that was something that I wasn't expecting. The program is advertised as get a 60K job in 6 months or less, and to be getting it in 2 months, I was like, oh. And on top of that, I had gotten the job around Christmas time, right before the new year. Complete surprise. It's crazy to me that you can get a job that pays like this, with just a certification. I mean, there's more to it than that, but compare that to how much you pay for college. You can pay sub $2,000 for this program and what it offers you, and get a job that pays at least $60,000. Totally worth it. I loved what I studied in college. I studied industrial and systems engineering, and people hear that and they're like, "Ooh, you're an engineer." But honestly, I love systems. I love problem solving. I love taking things apart and seeing what kind of solutions I can come up with. And that got reflected in my career after college. I worked as an industrial engineering consultant, um, up until January of 2020, where just a few things had been happening at work. There was also an opportunity for me to transition. I transitioned into a completely different field. I became a clinical massage therapist, a fitness instructor. In March of 2020, that was kind of the oops, this is kind of the worst time to have been making that transition. Well, I was basically furloughed from my job, and I was like, oh, uh, what should I do? And that's where I kind of leaned into the opportunity of, okay, I have some time to figure out what my options are. And that's when I remembered, oh yeah, Salesforce. I had been listening to a bunch of podcasts on my way to work back when I was an engineer, and I actually heard Bradley on a podcast talking about Salesforce, and I was like, I'll keep this in the back of my mind. And now that there was this opportunity for me to actually look into it, I was like, okay, I don't have my engineering job, I don't have my fitness job. I'll look into Salesforce. And that was when I signed up for Trailhead. This was November of 2020, and that was when I signed up for the program, and I jumped straight in, full force. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I can make this investment. I keep in mind at the time um, I was furloughed and I was trying to figure out finances, and things were happening in my life that I was like, oh, I don't know if I can commit. This might be a little bit of an investment, but if I get a job at the end of it, that's going to completely, it's so worth it. And that's kind of part of why I made the decision, but also there's the community aspect within the program that was invaluable to me, and that's part of what drove my decision making. I typically lean on people who have a lot more experience for mentorship. Um, and having these people that I feel like I don't want to disappoint them, not just the person I volunteered for or the organization that I volunteered for, but these other people who are in this program too, who kind of have the same motivations, but also are from different backgrounds, sharing their stories. All these people were really motivating for me, and kind of what drove me to be like, okay, I can make this investment. I can make my return on this investment, and I can also build a community with these people who are striving for the same thing, and maybe I can even give back to some people who are in the same position as me and are like, I don't know if this is where I should go. I mentioned before that I joined in April, the trailhead, but I kind of got burnt out, and then I was just kind of bumbling around. Like I didn't really know. There's a lot that's on trailhead, and unless what the program gave me was like, the guidance of like, okay, you know, um, try doing this because this will help you in your goal of where you want to go in getting that Salesforce job, and um, that was kind of what I was seeing as I was going through the content and all the modules. I was like, ooh, okay, this is kind of really cool. Like, I'm kind of getting this mentorship or this experience, and there's this community that's like built around that, and also there's live weekly calls with the community as well. So like I mentioned, I don't know if there's a clicking point where I was like, okay, this is for me. But in hindsight, uh, it was one of the best things, one of the best decisions I've ever made. If you've never had a LinkedIn, it's perfect for giving you a step-by-step of how to set it up and what you need to build that, and how to interact on the platform and engage. But on the other hand, it's also for the people who may already have an established LinkedIn like me. I kind of had the tips and tricks or techniques that I had from my previous industries, but I didn't have those for Salesforce. So when I saw that in the program, I was like, okay, these are the specific steps for landing a Salesforce job using LinkedIn. Depending on where you're coming from, either if you're making a career transition or you're finding this for the first time as a career path, LinkedIn, super valuable. Really hard to state the value of it unless you see it, but it's true. People care about LinkedIn, and that aspect of the program I can see being super beneficial for people, for all kinds of people who is really motivated to complete the program or get a job because I, one, had invested this money, and two, there are these people now in my study group who we had all made a collective goal of trying to get the certified at the end of the year. And having the previous experience of like bumbling around, and now having this newfound motivation to actually work through Trailhead and work through the material in the program, I got certified way earlier than the rest of my group mates. I kind of did it in secret. I was like, okay, if I fail the exam, I can at least, try again later in the month of the year. And I uh, I passed, and that was within 2-3 weeks of joining the program.